Alright guys, welcome to episode 2 of Let's Talk. This topic is actually pretty, what's the word? Hefty, meaning like it can go a lot of ways, but this is my perspective on it, so I'm gonna give it to you. So today's episode of Let's Talk, I have my laptop and my notes here. So if I keep looking to the side, that's what I'm looking at. This episode of Let's Talk is going to be comparison kills. So I have dealt with comparing myself my whole life. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people have dealt with this. It's not just me. I know it. In the world and the society we live in, it's hard not to compare yourself to what you see like on social media, where you may see someone like a friend is in their life versus where you are in yours. It's just hard not to compare situations. It's hard not to compare lifestyles, all that stuff. Like, comparison is a very big deal in our world and in our society in this generation. I'm gonna give y'all a little bit of backstory on my comparison journey and what I have compared and like how that's affected my life, and then some points that I can give that has helped me that can help you to not compare as much, or hopefully not at all. I have always dealt with comparison from a very young age. And it has affected a lot of areas of my life. Specifically when I was younger, it affected my self-esteem very much. I would compare, my biggest thing was how I looked. So I have 5 other siblings, and I grew up being one of the darker skinned of all of them. And it was something that always got to me. I hated the skin tone that I had. I hated the fact that I also was the only one who wore glasses when I was little. It just like my looks was a very big thing for me as a kid, especially seeing like my sisters and brothers and seeing like how like lighter their skin tone was, and that they didn't need glasses to see. Like I had to like get glasses to see or whatever. But it was a really big thing for me, and it was a really big struggle for me to accept that this is who I am. And I would just compare a lot of my features to some of the people or the kids that I went to school with. I'd compare different looks that I had to my siblings. Like, it was just, that was a really big thing for me when I was growing up, was comparing my skin tone and that I wore glasses and just how different I was from my siblings. And honestly, I don't think I even really spoke about it or even told anyone that this was an issue until maybe like 4 or 5 years ago. And I think up until that point I had come to a place where I was comfortable in who I was, comfortable in my skin, comfortable in all of these features that I used to hate about myself but now love. And I just finally had, I guess, the courage to speak up about it and tell mainly my parents and my siblings just kind of how I felt about those things that were a big issue for me. And I had to learn to love myself for me, to love myself in my own skin color. I had to learn that these were all features that God gave me, and to hate those things or to not like those things was to be calling his creation a mistake, or to be calling what he made me to be not worthy of being here. There were worse times than others growing up where I would be more harder on myself about these different traits, and I would hate to look in the mirror for the longest time. Eventually just kind of coping with the fact that, oh, this is just, it is what it is, and not having the most positive outlook on that. Like, I had come to a place where I was like, okay, like, I hate how I look, and I hate looking in the mirror. And then it went to a point where I was like, well, this is just kind of, it is what it is. Like, there's nothing I can do to change it. I just gotta live with it. This is what I look like. And it wasn't in a positive outlook at all. And then eventually it moved to the place of where I am now, or not now, but about 4 or 5 years ago when I was able to speak up about it, and I told my parents, like, hey, like, I was really uncomfortable with how I looked and the different features that I had, or the fact that I needed to wear glasses, or that I was darker than my other siblings. And speaking up about that was probably the door that opened me to be able to be like, hey, this is who God made me, this is how he made me, and I'm gonna love that person because that's who he made. I know that I'm not the only person who has dealt with something similar to that. I know that our features and our what we physically look like is a big thing that we do compare, whether it's to family or friends or whether it's social media. So yeah, that is some of the things that I dealt with when it came down to comparing myself, and not being okay with who I was as a person. These are some points that I have. I have 4 points for y'all for kind of how I came out of this and like what helped me begin to love me for me. First one is comparison makes you blind to your own blessings. When you're constantly looking at what someone else has, you stop noticing what God is already doing in your life. Gratitude and jealousy can't live in the same heart. So that was really big for me because I didn't recognize that these were things that God created for me. Like, there's no other me. I'm the only me that there is. In my skin tone, in my different features, like, I am who God made me to be. And being jealous of someone else won't make me more grateful to be who I am. And like the point says, that both gratitude and jealousy, they can't be in the same heart. So they can't reside together without one overtaking the other. So just be grateful for who you are and where you are, what you look like, and don't be jealous of what someone else has, because you don't know what someone else is going through or what they had to do to get to the point where they are. Number 2 is you can't copy something that you weren't meant to be. What works for them may not work for you. You weren't designed to duplicate. You were designed to walk as your own person, which is a big one. I sometimes found myself copying the habits or gestures of some people that I looked to be like, or who I had wished I had looked like, or anything in like that field. I would find myself kind of copying their behaviors, copying gestures, whether it's like certain hand movements because it made them look a certain way. Like, that kind of seems like it's a bit extreme, but that's just kind of where I was when it came down to comparing. Like, all of that kind of stuff is what was in my brain or what I was going through mentally. So copying someone else just makes you another version of something that's already out there, when you can be original and not compare and be yourself and living in the skin that God gave you and being who he made you to be by just being authentically you. Number 3 is social media is a highlight reel and not real life. Big thing. I didn't grow up having social media in my face. I wasn't allowed to have social media until I was 15, so that wasn't a really big thing for me growing up, like comparing myself to people like on the internet or whatnot. But that doesn't mean it didn't affect me when I did have access to seeing that, like seeing what people live like. It's just whatever they're choosing to show you. It's not all of the big pictures, not all of what's actually happening behind the scenes. So comparing yourself to someone that is online, or like your favorite influencer, or like these people that you look up to in the social media world, you don't know what's going on behind those closed doors. Like, people only show you what they choose to show you. So you can't like base, oh, like they're so successful or they're so influential, I want to be just like that person. Yes, we can have people that we look up to, but none of them should replace your authenticity or your originality in who God made you to be. Number 4 is simply that comparison kills you. Simply putting it, that like it doesn't give life to anything that you already have. It's just killing everything in you because you're trying to be like someone else. So I would just say that take into consideration that when you compare, you are diminishing what God has made you to be. You're diminishing all of the features that he took his time to create when he created you. There's the verse, Psalms 139 verse 14. I'm going to read it for y'all. It says that it simply says, I am fearfully and wonderfully made, which basically just shows us that God took his time when he made us in the womb. He didn't make a mistake. He formed every feature. He formed the curve of your nose. He formed the arch of your eyebrow. He formed your cupid's bow. Like, he took his time and made you exactly how he wanted you to be. And comparing that to someone else who probably had to, in the social media sense, who had to probably pay to get that kind of feature, or who paid to look the way that they do. Like, just be grateful and don't compare like where God has you compared to where he has someone else, whether that is physically, whether that is where you are in your career, or whatever that may be. Just comparison can kill on all levels. So thank y'all so much for watching episode 2 of Let's Talk, and I'll see y'all next week.